Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I've created this channel to basically give the visually impaired an idea of movies, mainly movies at the cinema. Just to give you a bit of background, I was born with an hereditary eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, and I am now basically at a stage where I can only see lights. Um, you may notice that I'm not looking directly at the camera because I just can't see it. Um, from memory, there is a little light around the lens, but I can't make that out. Um, for those of you probably wondering what the eye condition is that I have, um, it's called retinitis pigmentosa, abbreviated to RP. Basically, um, what usually happens is you're born. Um, some people, some people, um, they tend to get affected by it earlier than others. There's no real textbook time frame on it. Um, I can only go on my own experiences, really. I speak to a lot of people with RP. I can tell you about their experiences, but that's probably down to them, really. Um, my condition really um, showed up when I was struggling to see in the dark. And I was probably 7 or 8 years of age. Um, and I just noticed that I couldn't see in the dark as well as my friends. Um, typical examples of this is my friends would be playing football over the park, and it would be turning to dusk, and you know, I I often wondered how can they still run around like crazy people, you know, and focus on the ball um, as well as what they were. Um, it's strange because obviously I wanted to get involved with my friends playing sports and stuff like that at that time, and I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to think about why I couldn't see very well in the dark. Um, there were there were some quite embarrassing moments walking down the street, walking into bins that are on the side of the road on the path. Um, there was one instance where I was actually walking. I can't remember where I was going, but I walked around the corner from where I lived, and there was a big pile of rocks on the corner of the road on the path. I don't know if they were filling the roads in or whatever. I don't know why they were there, but it was this pile of rocks was, it must have been about 4 or 5 feet high, and I was walking, and basically I ended up walking straight over this pile of rocks, um, and it was it was the length of these rocks. It was about 10 feet, and I basically tried to play it down to me just being silly and just you know just climbing, just walking up these rocks. When actually, when I, in actual fact, I actually tripped up this pile of rocks. Um, so basically, the RP starts off with night blindness. Then what tends to happen is your peripheral vision, the vision at the sides and around your central area, that starts to deteriorate. And th- I was led to believe that my peripheral vision would deteriorate from the back or the sides and move in to the centre, and basically I would just I'd end up with just being able to see a tiny hole, and that's all I'd be able to see through. And if you actually Google this, um, it does actually say that some people, you can go blind from RP. So in some cases, there are some people in their 80s that I know of that can still actually see. So it's not written in stone that you are going to go blind from this condition. But unfortunately, my peripheral vision deteriorated to a point now where all I can basically see are lights. I can't make out what those lights are. Like, you'll notice I keep looking over there, and I'm basically looking at my monitor. I think my eyes are just drawn to light, so I can't see what's on the screen. I can't, if I put my hand up, I can't see my hand, but if I wave it in front of my screen, because there's light in the background, I can kind of see my hand. It's all to do with the contrast. I've been like this for about, I think maybe two or 3 years. Excuse me. My peripheral vision didn't start to deteriorate from the side. It actually started from around the central area. Now, so I don't know if you can see my hand in the shot there, but if I'm looking there, I couldn't make out my fingers moving properly, and obviously that was a concern. I was already made aware by the time that started to deteriorate that I did have RP, but that was, well, I'm trying to think. It was probably about 28, 29 years ago when I was actually diagnosed with this condition. Now, let's say 30 years ago, information, I don't even think the internet was around. So back in my day, I didn't have the option to go on Google and do my own research. I just had like pamphlets and things like that to go on. So I was very restricted to what I could look up myself. But just going back to my vision and how it's deteriorated. It deteriorated from right near the central area and basically moved around and underneath. And the thing is, this is from my knowledge, when you lose a portion of your vision at the bottom of the eye, it's like a mirror. So not only was it deteriorating down the bottom, it was also deteriorating around the top. And eventually what happened was that these two, like, semicircles, if you will, they joined into a full circle around my central vision. And what happened then is my vision slowly over the years deteriorated, and it kind of just went like that. Now I'm waving my hand here, and I can actually still see my hand here, but I can't see what I'm directly looking at. And that, it's very difficult for people to understand, and I know that from reading a lot of posts online. It's very difficult sometimes to explain your condition to people that don't have it. Excuse me. I've not met anybody really that I can say. I've not met two people who have suffered with exactly the same rate of deterioration. The symptoms are all pretty much the same, but the way that your eyes deteriorate, the way that the RP affects your eyes it's very rare actually to get two people that can say yes, mine did exactly the same thing at exactly the same rate. You know, there's no cure for this as of yet. By the way, I know I'm talking as if I'm talking to somebody with RP. I think the reason I do that is because I believe that the majority of people watching this probably do have RP or know somebody that does have it. Although the purpose of these videos is to raise awareness, yes, but I want to try and give and help people who do have RP. I want to give them my take on it and how I've dealt with things. I'm not going to go on and on in this video, or try not to. But hopefully, in my videos, I can pass on some of my knowledge to people, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they can pick up on the way I'm explaining things, and hopefully it will help them to explain to their, you know, their family, friends, loved ones, whatever, you know, what they're going through and how it affects them. Because in my opinion, the my biggest obstacle hasn't actually been the loss, the actual physical loss of my sight. It's actually the mental, the what it does to your head. You know, it's been a difficult journey, and I did have people who I could talk to. My family were there if I wanted to talk to them. I actually chose not to. I chose to keep it to myself and try and deal with it by myself. Each to their own. We all deal with things in different ways, but that was the choice that I took. Do I regret it? I don't like to regret things because there's nothing I can do about it now anyway. So all I can do is learn and teach people, not teach people, but just share my experiences with people, and you know, hopefully they can pick the bones of what I say and whatever, and it helps them. I'm hoping that, you know, these videos will cause some interaction. I want to hear other people's stories. If anybody's got any questions, then please leave them in the comments. This is my very first video I've ever done, so you know, I'm probably jabbering on a little bit, but the rest of the videos, they won't be as long as this one. This is just an introduction as to why I've decided to do these videos. Now basically, I do like music as well. I write my own music, and I will be using this channel to load up some of my music that I do as well. It's always been a passion of mine. I love instrumental music, so that's something that you know, I can hopefully, you know, I'd love to be a composer. I'd love to write some music for like a soundtrack for a movie. That would just be brilliant. But at the moment, you know, I write my music, and I enjoy doing it. And if it takes me somewhere, it takes me somewhere. But the main purpose for these videos is, for the longest time, because of night blindness, I stayed away from the cinema. Whenever anyone would say, do you want to go to the cinema, it was like, oh my god, no. And why did I not want to go? Because I was nervous that I was going to tread on somebody's foot. I was nervous I was going to fall up the stairs. so many reasons, and excuse me, if I could go back in time now, given the vision I've got now compared to what I had before, yes, I probably would go. Um, I probably would go to the cinema now to be able to see what I'm actually going to be doing reviews on. Um, but that's the way it is. I can't do anything about that. Um, I I just reached this point where I decided I'm gonna go to the cinema. I'm gonna try and do as many things, excuse me, as I can. Just because I can't see very well anymore doesn't mean I've got to stay at home and live like a hermit. Um, I know there are people with visual impair um, visual impairment, and it's not just visual impairment. There's lots of disabilities that cause people to lose confidence. Um, my confidence is actually, it's really strange because my confidence has actually grown since my vision has got to this point. I don't know if that's just a case of, well, it can't really get much worse. I don't know, because I'm still grateful that I can actually see something. I can see lights. I can't make them out, but I can still see something. I know people that can't see anything at all. When they close their eyes and open them, they can't see any difference between the two, whereas I can. So I'm grateful for that. Um, but basically, my reviews. Sometimes I will watch a movie with the audio description, which is basically when I go to the cinema, they give me a headset and I put that on, and I have someone talking um, through the entirety of the movie, which for somebody that loves soundtracks, there's not there's not a lot I can do about that. It's either listen to the soundtrack and imagine what's going on, or get a clear idea of what's going on by listening to the voice in the earpiece. Now, sometimes I don't have audio description, and I I actually quite enjoy this because some people are probably thinking, well, why go to the cinema if you can't see it? You can't see what's going on. Well, it depends on the film, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to use your imagination. It it's I actually enjoy just being able to sit there with my popcorn, um, you know, and trying to figure out what is actually going on. Because sometimes I can write a review on a movie and pretty much get it bang on the nail. Other times I get it completely wrong. Now, is that good or bad in regards to a filmmaking perspective? You know, I don't know. I don't know. This is a journey that I'm going on to. I don't know. I need some feedback on these on these things that I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, I do like to watch a movie without audio description sometimes, but sometimes I'll watch a movie more than once, and I'll like Star Wars, The Force Unleashed. I I went to that and I had audio description on. Now, audio description with an action movie is just the person never shuts up. There's so many things they've got to explain that it's somewhat difficult to really concentrate on the movie. but sometimes there's films with a lot of dialogue, and you just don't need the audio description. Well, I don't. A lot of the films I've seen, I haven't needed the audio description, and I've left the cinema thinking that was a really good film. Yes, I wish I could have seen it, but that's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about that. Um, so I do tend to watch a film more than once. I know I went to watch Black Mass 2 or 3 times. I still haven't. I haven't actually been to the cinema for a little while, so I am due to catch up on a lot of films. Um, I don't even remember. I don't remember what the last film was that I went to see. I think it was Joy. And there was a lot of dialogue in that. That was that was easy to follow. Um, I went to watch Spectre, the James Bond film, and I didn't have audio description for that, and I was completely lost as to what was going on. 1 minute the sound effects are telling you that he's in a helicopter. Next minute he's on a bike. Next minute he's up to naughty things with a lady, and then it was just so difficult. Some films, I'm not going to say don't even bother going to watch them or hear them or whatever, but you'll notice that it's all experience. You pick up different things from different movies, um, but it's I know that there are people with RP as well that, if you remember earlier, I said about the peripheral vision deteriorating to a point where their central vision is very limited. Um, Now, the problem is with that is if you go to the cinema, sitting on the front row is just a complete no-no. It's just, imagine looking through, um, imagine closing one eye and having a toilet roll holder and put that to your eye and then sit in front on the front row at the cinema and try and look at all of the screen. You just can't do it. And the problem is when you're moving your eyes around to try and build up that image in your head, so your brain can process everything that's going on the screen, it's exhausting. It was in my case. um, and the thing, if there's so much action going on, your eyes are looking on the left of the screen, and then something happens on the right, and by the time you've moved your eyes to the right, it's gone, so you've missed that. It's difficult. It's very difficult. So, but I don't have that type of tiredness with my eyes anymore. That I can't do that. I don't even have the ability to do that anymore. Um, so it's it is it is difficult for most people with RP to go to the cinema. These reviews that I do aren't just for these reviews are for everybody. My take as a severely visually impaired person, um, I'm not going to say that I'm totally blind, and I don't really want to start up the conversation about or the topic of blindness, because there's a lot of different interpretations of what blindness is, and when I think of blind, I think of someone that cannot see anything at all. But a lot of people will argue that point, and there's totally blind, legally blind, um, and let me just put this out there as well. Hopefully, by watching these videos, it will make you more aware of somebody carrying a white stick or a cane. Not everybody with a white stick is totally blind. there are actually two different canes that I have. I have a smaller cane which is thinner as well, and that's actually called a cymbal cane, and you're supposed to hold it like that down, and that shows people that you have got a visual impairment, but you don't need it to guide you around. A cymbal cane isn't actually used for that, although my mobility trainer, I hope she doesn't watch this, but my mobility trainer, if she, yeah, I started with a cymbal cane and I used that as a guide, so I'll probably get told off for that. But hey, whatever works. It worked for me. It gave me the confidence to get out there more. And yes, I should have been using a full length cane, but I didn't have one available at that time, and I didn't want to wait. I was ready, and that's what's important. I was ready to venture out and have my little adventures and get on with my life. I didn't want to wait for someone to say, well, here's your cane, you need training with it now, off you go. When you're ready, you're ready. No one can tell you when you've got to be ready. It's up to you. And the purpose of these videos isn't to try and push people. It is and it isn't. I'd never tell anybody, how to deal with their RP, because I certainly didn't listen to anyone that told me. But you have to push yourself. You've got to. In all walks of life, you have to push yourself. How can you succeed at anything if you don't push yourself? Push those limits. And while we're talking about limits, what are limits? What, that you can't see as well as you could? Well, they're only limits if you really let them be limits. Now these are just my opinions. But anyway, going back to the cane, I now use a full length cane, and a full length cane mine comes in 4 foldable pieces, and it's basically the length of this cane is from the ground to about your armpit is the full length of a cane, a proper cane, full length cane. And it's so difficult though, because like I said, not everybody with a cane is totally blind. Now, I didn't use any cane until my central vision got to such a point where I couldn't go out on my own without bumping into things. And I've been fortunate, touch wood, to not have that many accidents. You watch, I'll go out now and walk into a tree or something. But anyway, not everybody with a cane is totally blind, and I get asked a lot of questions about my eyes. People even ask me, what's the stick for? It kind of amazes me that, that I'm going to be asked what my stick is for. I don't know. To me, it should be pretty obvious that I've got a visual impairment. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. There are some people out there that they just don't understand. They just don't know. And I'm not saying these videos are going to, reach everybody on the planet, and all of a sudden everybody's going to know, what RP is. I don't even know what I'm hoping to achieve. At the end of the day, I've reached a point in my RP, with my RP, that I've got the confidence to go out now. I've got the confidence to just get on with things. I go to the cinema, I go to restaurants, I go to the pub, I play pool, I play darts, not very well, obviously, but I just get involved, Um, you know, I've got some good people in my life that have helped me as well. And you know, I walked into my local pub, and I've been living here for quite some time, and I walked in there for the very first time, New Year's Eve, and I know it shouldn't be questioned, but I was amazed really at how welcoming all of those people were. Um, Sorry, I get a bit upset because I've built up such a barrier. This My RP has been such a no go um, conversation piece. I know there are probably some people that are going to be watching this video and they'll know exactly what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. You know, they tried talking to me about my eyes, and I didn't want to talk about it. I brushed it under the carpet, didn't want to know. But you can't hide from it for long. It catches up with you, and you have to face it. Like most things in life, you can't hide from things for too long. Um, but anyway, um, you know, if you have any questions about RP or anything that I've said, you know, by all means leave a comment. I don't know how frequently I'll be uploading videos. Obviously, as soon as I watch a movie, I'll do a review on it as soon as I can. And I don't know, I might reply to some of the questions that I get asked in my videos, as well as doing my review on the film that I go and watch. Um, so yeah, that's basically it. You know, thanks for watching this video. Um, you know, subscribe, leave some comments, whatever, and I'll speak to you guys soon.